Good morning. Welcome to Leadership Live with Anton Gunn. And today, I want to have a real important conversation about your workplace culture, and particularly the term toxic workplace culture. And the question is, what is this costing you? The reason why I'm starting here, and I'm actually going to use an analogy, I think most people have heard the term the silent killer. The silent killer commonly is referred to as high blood pressure. This is a health condition that people have that you don't know that something is going wrong inside. And then all of a sudden it manifests as a stroke or a heart attack or some other debilitating condition that can take you out. Well, I'm telling you right now that the silent killer that's affecting the American workplace is toxic culture. Now, when I say toxic culture, I'm going to explain to you what it looks like and what it means from an employee standpoint and from a leadership standpoint. And I'm also going to talk about what is actually costing you in terms of finances and organization. But before I get into that, I want you to understand that toxic workplace culture is on the rise. Now, when I mean on the rise, I'm telling you that as a researcher and as a speaker, someone who spends my time on stages talking to people about how to build a great culture, how to develop leaders, how to build an environment where nobody wants to quit, I can tell you, whenever I get hired or booked to speak and I do my pre-event call with the client, and we talk about what's going on in the organization to help me to understand the tone, the tenor, the culture, and the characteristics of the organization, I can tell you this, that every time we have these conversations, they always think their problem is one thing, but it really is something else, which is they might say stuff like, our leaders just need to do a better job of, communicating. That would be the symptom that they lay out. Then other times they'll say, well, you know what? I think we got leaders, but I want to push this new theme. This is the year of our people. And I said, well, tell me why you're pushing that thing, because, we just need to focus in on our people. But what they didn't say is that they got a high turnover rate amongst their people, that they're losing 50, 60, 70% of their young workers, of their newly hired employees, and that, their 3-year turnover rate is 70%, which is somebody starts working in 2025, and by 2028, that 75% of them have already quit the organization. They can't keep an employee for 5 years. And I'm not talking like low-level hourly jobs. I mean, they actually are hourly jobs, but they don't pay low salaries. I mean, it's $33 an hour, $35 an hour. And so this is a significant investment that they're having to remake every time that somebody quits. So they start talking about the problem, and I realize that the problem is something else. And this is what I call the silent killer. The problem is the culture inside the organization is toxic, is withered, it's wretched, it's horrible. Okay. So this is not just as simple as burnout. This is not simply just disengagement. This is not just plain old turnover. Because some people would make you think that this is just like part of the game. Like, some people going to quit. Some people going to stay. That's true. There's always going to be someone that quit. And there should be some level of healthy turnover. That's about 10%. On the high side, maybe 13% is healthy turnover. But 50% ain't healthy. 75% ain't healthy. And so the question is, why are organizations having this level of turnover? They having this level of turnover is because they failed to do effective change management. Now, when I say change management, I want you to know that nothing stays the same. Every organization goes through changes. So whether your industry changed, whether your products changed, whether your services changed, whether the economy changed, whether Donald Trump instituted 25% tariffs on the product that you make, or whether they issued an executive order that canceled your biggest contract, all of those things are change. And so you as a leader have to know how to manage that change. And if you don't effectively manage change, then your employees are going to disconnect, disengage, and they're going to quit. And what I've seen over this year, when I say year, we're only a quarter of the way into 2025. What I'm seeing, y'all, is I'm seeing that employees are tired. They probably have been tired, but they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, what are they sick and tired of being sick and tired about? Well, number one, they're sick and tired about performative diversity efforts. Now, we all know that there's an attack on DEI, or there might even be a divide around, is DEI an effective strategy in your organization? Well, don't get caught up on the acronyms. Let's just focus on the words. That diversity is an important context for every business. I think I probably used this example before. Like Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in the game. And he's ain't even in the game anymore. And Lamar Jackson might be great. And, all of these other people might be great. But everybody can make an argument that Tom Brady is a legendary quarterback in the National Football League. He has a brand that stands out because he's a winner. He wins. He has the right mentality. He's not super talented, but he has the right mentality and has been able to use his mentality to supplement his lack of talent that allowed him to be a winner. Now, what does Tom Brady have to do with this? Well, every team wants a Tom Brady on their team. You want a person like Tom Brady on your team because you know that's a good team player who's going to be a winner. But let me ask you this question. If you had a team full of Tom Bradys, do you think you could win? Let me be more specific. If you had a team full of quarterbacks, do you think you could win a football game? The answer is no. Because if you stick 11 quarterbacks on the field, you're going to get your butt beat every time. Because what Tom Brady can't do is run. What Tom Brady can't do is catch touchdown passes. What Tom Brady can't do is run an 80-yard rush off the left side. What Tom Brady cannot do is block 300-pound defensive linemen. So you need diversity on your team. You need diversity in your company. You need diversity in your organization. You also need to include these people in the decisions around their work. But so many companies have talked diversity and inclusion. Some have talked equity, but they don't know how to do it. They didn't do it well enough that the moment the Trump administration said they're going to investigate people, people stuck their tail between their legs and went running for the hills. They're afraid. They're really afraid. And what I've seen is that you got three types of companies when it comes to this whole DEI divide. You got company A is the company who never wanted to do this diversity stuff anyway. So now that there's some backlash against DEI or a divide on DEI, they're getting rid of every program, every process, every policy, every practice that they had before that they felt like they were doing it because they were being forced to do it. It's performative diversity. Those companies are walking away. Then the second third of the companies are the companies who know that this is a strategic business imperative, but they're risk adverse and they don't want to be getting sued by people for any reasons. So what they're going to do is they're changing the names of some of these programs or even changing the criteria. So instead of the women's leadership program, it's just the leadership program. Instead of the minority, directors academy, is now the diverse directors academy or the directors academy. They just like changing the name of it. Still trying to do the work, but changing the name of it. They just don't want to get sued. And then you got the third type of business who says, you know what? You can sue us all you want to. You can come after us all we want to. We still doing this because we know this is what's going to set us apart in our industry and to help us to be successful. A good example of that is Costco. An example of the second third is Target. Target is still doing diversity work. They're just changing the name of stuff, saying that they're getting rid of stuff, but they're still doing it. And then there's some companies who are in that A category who never wanted to do it in the first place. And that's most of the tech companies in Silicon Valley. The Microsofts, the Microsofts, those companies, right? So what am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that people are tired of performative diversity. They're tired of poor communications. They're tired of literally not having leaders who can manage or lead the team. They're tired of reporting to people who they look at and see that they got this title, but this person doesn't have an empathetic bone in their body, doesn't know how to build a good environment. Matter of fact, your employees are tired of abusive environments because we know that that's real. People are being yelled at and mistreated at work. As a matter of fact, I did a study last year that looked at the term workplace injustice, people who are being mistreated in the workplace. And I can tell you that more than 66% of employees experience injustice every year. 23% of employees experience it every month. And 95% of people report when they experience mistreatment in the workplace, but only 17% of employers actually do something about what they hear. And so this makes your people tired. They're tired of trying to fight the good fight and the company's not doing anything. And when I say the company's not doing anything, let me tell you specifically what do I mean. Companies don't trust HR anymore. Some might even say, I never trusted HR in the beginning, but I definitely don't trust them now. And let me give you an example that I heard at a conference that I spoke at a year ago, that this employee told me the reason why people don't trust HR in their company is because if you report any manager, any leader for any kind of bad behavior, before you can get back to your desk, they've already called the manager and told the manager exactly what you said about them. So the HR staff is not equipped and not doing their job. And because they don't know how to do their jobs the right way and keep confidentiality, protect the sanctity and security of information that employees bring to them in a confidential manner, people don't trust HR. They don't trust them at all. And so when this is happening in the workplace, let me tell you exactly what's happening. The Gen Z employees, they ain't standing for this at all. They got this thing that they're doing now. It's called revenge quitting, which is they will take a job, start work, and be working. And the moment they see any mistreatment, any unfairness in the workplace, anybody that gets called out of their name or done dirty at work, they're quitting without a job, without a plan. It's revenge quit. They might even quit in the middle of a project because of the culture in the organization. That's toxic. That's a toxic response to a toxic environment. So we got to do something about this. We really got to do something about this. So my context of trying to help you to understand what you need to be doing about it is the following. Well, actually, let me pause on that. I told you what Gen Z are doing, that they're the ones that are quitting, revenge quitting. But your good employees, and when I mean your good employees, all your employees are good. But what I'm saying, the people who are most talented, like that millennial leader who you feel like should be in the C-suite one day, or that Gen X leader who is in the C-suite and is tired of ringing the bell on this toxic culture and nobody's being responsive to them, trying to make things better, those folks are leaving. See, the high potential, high performing millennial leader can always go find a job somewhere else. And that Gen Xer who's in the C-suite, they so close to retirement that you don't even know how close they are, that they can leave and they ain't got to worry about getting another job. They can literally take the early retirement and then wait for something to come back to. I talked to a leader yesterday, 35-year career, retired, sat out for a couple years, and because the workforce in that industry is so depleted that he's being begged to come back in for another job. And he came back in and he took it. So let me just break it down. This toxic culture is costing you a lot. Your employees are feeling unheard. Your managers are feeling unsupported. Nobody trusts HR. And so this is not a talent problem. This is a leadership problem. This is a leadership problem that you have to get to some solutions around. So if your organization is experiencing toxic turnover, if your organization has a low retention strategy for your employees, if you have high turnover, if you're not managing change effectively, okay, if you are having an environment where people can't trust HR and you feel like your leaders are not equipped with the tools necessary to be great, if that's your organization, we need to have a conversation. Now, when I say have a conversation, I'm saying we need to come up with a game plan on what we're going to do to stop what this is costing you. So when I say what it's costing you, let me just lay out a few numbers for you. Did you know that toxic culture is costing organizations billions of dollars every year? Billions with a B. There was a study in 2019 by the Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM, who said that over 5 years, toxic workplace culture cost American employers $223 billion in turnover costs. Well, 5 years later, I did my study on mistreatment in the workplace, and I found that disengagement, that these ain't the people who turn over and quit. These are the people who mentally, emotionally check out. They isolate themselves, they separate themselves, and they just keep doing their job, the bare minimum of their job, but they're not at all trying to invest that work. This is costing employers $777 billion a year in disengagement. So whether you're talking about turnover or disengagement, we're talking $1 trillion almost. $1 trillion. Not to mention how you've fallen behind in your industry because you can't keep good people. So this is the problem. Now, what's the solution? The solution is actually what I do for my clients and the organizations that I'm privileged to work with. I actually just finished a pre-event call with a client about their upcoming conference in May. And I'm going down to be the opening keynote speaker for it. And my whole presentation is called Engagement by Design. How do you engage your workforce? How do you get the best out of them and build an influential and impactful culture? First thing is you got to work with me. You got to work with me to diagnose the problem behind the problem. See, I don't want to just talk about the symptoms. The symptoms is turnover. The symptoms is disengagement. The symptoms is all of these things on the surface that you think are the real problem, but they're not the real problem. So we have to diagnose the real problem. Then the second thing we got to do is a game plan, how we're going to reset, reform these toxic behaviors. Because it's systemic in your organization. It's systemic in your culture. And you really do that by doing the following. And number one, and that is building a values-based culture. But you got to know what your values are. And one of your values needs to be your people, because you have to build a people-first culture, a values-driven culture, in order to be able to get to the outcomes that you want. So that's how I help leaders and organizations, either as a keynote speaker, doing a leadership retreat, to be able to focus on this silent killer. Because if you don't address the silent killer, you have no idea how this might implode internally in your organization. It's bad out here. Toxic workplace culture is real, and it's growing. I'm starting to see more and more and more news articles talking about toxic workplace culture. So whether it's Ellen DeGeneres creating a toxic culture on her show, or Skip Bayless at Fox Sports, creating a toxic culture, or whether it's the FDIC, who also had a toxic culture. I mean, it's so many companies that have these toxic culture stories that are popping up in the news, and more people are writing about it, writing the signs of toxic culture. My most viral YouTube video is a video about the 5 signs that you're in a toxic workplace culture. It's growing by 1,000 views a month because people are literally searching out the signs for a toxic workplace culture, because they want somebody to rationalize what they're going through. They know they're not crazy. They probably feel like they're being gaslit every day that they come to work. And so they want to validate their experience. Is this toxic? Is this okay? Is this what I should be going through? And the answer is no, they shouldn't. But so many organizations don't know what to do about the silent killer. I do. And I want to help you. So here's my call to action for you. That if you are experiencing this kind of environment at work, and you're a leader who wants to improve it and wants to change it, I want you to send me a direct message. Send me a direct message. I want to make sure that you use the word fix it words. Fix it. F-I-X-I-T. Fix it. I was going to say fix it, Jesus, but Jesus ain't going to fix it, because faith without works is dead. You got to do the work. But I want to do the work with you. So if you want to fix it, send me a direct message. Let's schedule some calls, some kind of check-in for me to get some information. And let's figure out how I can help you to go from a wretched culture to a world-class workplace culture, and make sure that the word toxic never shows up anywhere around what you do, the people you work with, or the brand of your organization. That's my endeavor, and that's my goal. So we're going to stay on this topic for a few weeks, because I really want y'all to understand that it's bad out here and it's getting worse. Elon Musk ain't making it no better. I mean, everything that Doge is doing is creating a toxic culture, having people to send frivolous, Monday morning emails of the 5 things they got done last week. It's total micromanagement. And micromanagement is one of the things that drives people away from organizations. Now, you can argue that they probably doing this by design to get people to quit, but still, it's still a toxic culture. And people don't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. So if you want it fixed, send me a direct message that says fix it. And I'll be sure to have someone follow up with you, and we can figure out next steps. I want to thank you for watching this episode of Leadership Live, and I will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. Take care.